So, Valentin, I hear that this year is the 180 years of Rinck. That's quite a long and amazing timescale for a company. How did it all start?
Yeah, it's a bit long. Although compared to some other French companies, we are still young, I think. But it's something. Rinck was created in 1841 in Alsace, northeast of France, and then they moved to Paris when Alsace was invaded by Prussia in 1871. And they settled in this neighborhood actually, which was a traditional neighborhood for decorative arts in France since Louis XIV reign. And we've been around since then, and so today we have 3 locations in France. Here is the interior design studio, and then we have like joinery, millwork and boiserie workshop in the south of France, and cabinet making workshop in the northeast of France. So that's how we are organized today.
It really does encompass the whole of France, which is
yeah. That's the way we work. You know, it's called ensemblier décorateur. That's how we describe ourselves, which means we have both design and fabrication capacities in house, and it's the old way of doing interior design in France, and we are still functioning that way today. What about you actually? When was Fromental started?
Only 15 years ago. So I mean, you mentioned that that's not so old, Rinck, for in the context of French artisanat, but for us, we're just a blink of the eye. So we started 15 years ago, and we specialize mostly in wallpaperings, wall coverings, and we're based in London. Our design studios are there, and our craftsmanship is actually a little bit all over the world. We just find the best craftsmen for each technique all over the world. So we're expanding all the time, finding new craftsmen and trying to do a lot of things in Britain at the moment, which is very exciting, because although the name is French, it's from my great-grandfather, Etienne Fromental.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes, it is a British company, I feel quite European. The style of what we do really does take in the decorative arts of Europe and of course of the rest of the world. But I feel that although we are based in London, I feel we're a very European company in our mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very well traveled, I'd say also, and I think we are sharing maybe a common interest in the way we like to have references to modern art and to history of art and to many different things. It's very cultivated old European feeling. I love, for example, the fact that Fromental is using not only the very classic chinoiserie stuff, but we are also doing very interesting wallpapers with like après-guerre style art, and they're really interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, like you, we share that real passion of understanding the decorative arts of all the different eras, really studying them, because I think that good design only comes from a deep knowledge of the history of design. That's when a design is true and it's right, if you have the knowledge and you keep on looking to the past and learning about it and discovering, but you really do need to have that. You can't just invent from nothing, otherwise it has no substance.
I totally agree. That's actually what we call also the humility of knowing that we don't come from nowhere. It's not like we just happen to be designers and there is nothing before us. And being a 180 years old company, it really brings you that. It's like you're walking in the footsteps of your forebears, and it's really interesting for me to think like that.
I absolutely agree. So you're walking the footsteps, and we're sitting on the shoulder of giants of the decorative arts.
Well, I'm sure you're going to still be around for 108 years.
Well, I think longevity, hopefully, is what we're aiming for. Not only, obviously, for our company, but for the products themselves. We want them to be, like you, beautiful now, but relevant and beautiful in 100 years' time. It's inspired. There are fashions that do dictate what you work on now, but with the foresight of how will this age, how will this still look good within a domestic or context in 100 years' time. It's very, very important. We can't just be designing for now and the next season.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. And that's why I used to be in fashion actually, and that's why when my father brought me to the family company, at first I was like, no, I have my own thing. And then after a while, I found out that fashion was moving, faster and faster, collection after collection. And actually, interior design was much more interesting to me because, as you say, we are creating things which are, we hope, going to last. And that's really interesting in terms of mentality.
Well, that's probably why we're working together on this wonderful collection. So, Valentin, I know that, we both know that, but tell me, how did it all start? How did we come to this?
So actually, as I was saying, Rinck has both an interior design studio and workshops in-house. It's very important, and we've always worked that way. And so in the main joinery and boiserie workshop, we have a wood carving studio. And I was there a year ago, and so there were all these sketches, all these drafts for ornamentation for a new project. And it was all very classical ornamentation that we use, from the classic French style with the 16, with the 15, or even Empire, and so on. And they can be used maybe on the paneling, but also maybe they come from a bronze or something. And we keep all of this ornamentation. It's really rooted in our DNA, in our history. And so there was this full-scale sketches, but like sketched with two different lines, two colors, to really underline the depth of it.
I understand, yes.
And I was like, this is really cool. Don't throw that away, guys. It's really cool. We should do something with that. And the guys at the workshop were like, well, we do that every day and we just throw it away. Why would we keep them? No, let's keep it. And so I took a picture and I sent it to you guys actually on WhatsApp. And the answer was like, well, I love it. Yeah. So that's how it started, actually.
It's fascinating. I didn't know that that's why there were two lines. I thought they were fantastic, and the fact that we're using two colours and the background. But now I understand what they were for. They were to
it's actually to give the idea of the molding, basically.
See, well, I think that it was captured in that first image that you sent us, that beautiful colourway. And I think everything captured us. It was the harmony of the placement of all the ornamentation, the colours, the dynamism, and also the fact that it had the history of Rinck and looking to the future as well. It was classical and modern.
That's exactly what we do. As I was saying, to me, what we do is a bit of a humble design in the fact that we know we don't invent everything from nothing. And we know we are classicists, of course. We cannot be, like we cannot do brutalism. It's 180 years old. It wouldn't work, right? But it doesn't mean that we cannot have a bit of fun and bring pop culture into these creations, and that's what we're trying to do. And I think we really managed to do that with all these colorways, which are really interesting.
The colorways were so much fun, and you very kindly sort of gave us a little bit carte blanche. You gave us a palette of colors, and really thought about the Rinck colors. And I thought about boiserie to inform the 6 colorways that we have produced together, and that was huge amounts of fun. Picking those 3 colours, it's lovely to have a really restrained palette, because for a lot of our work, for the chinoiserie, for instance, there are 20, 30 colours. Yeah. And it's sometimes harder to pull it back down and to make something sophisticated or fun with just 3 colours. And that was a real challenge and a really exciting one.
It's actually a way of bringing minimalism in something very maximalist.
It really is maximalism. Yeah. It is absolutely beautiful. The harmony, the fact that it repeats after quite a few panels. You just don't see the repeats, and your eye sort of journeys through all these different elements like a story. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Who actually redrew each of these ornaments?
So actually, the first ones, as I was saying, were drawn in the carving workshop. Then we took that and we rearranged, and we tried to pick some other maybe ornamentation pieces. So we went through different styles. Actually, it's a bit of a mix. You have like Empire, Egyptomania. You have a bit of with the 16. You have a bit. Yeah. It's a bit of this, a bit of that. And my sister, actually, who's our in-house textile designer, took it and resketched everything.
So although there's all these disparate elements, if you will, which were initially painted or drawn up in different styles, they're all unified with this incredible skill, draftsmanship.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually that's also why we called it that name, the Classicist Sketchbook. And it's really that. It's like the idea of a little sketchbook from an architect or an interior designer, just drawing some stuff and you put it on the wall.
Well,
it's as simple as that.
We all carry our sketchbooks. I mean, I never go out without mine, and it is just like a magpie finding little elements which can inform a future design.
And for us, it speaks very deeply about who we are as a company, because I always say Rinck is a large and old company. We have many different trades in-house, right? We have interior designers, we have mill workers, we have many different people, but the one thing that unites us all here at Rinck is the ability to draw.
It's paramount.
And this is our common language, just sketching. Sketching and knowing about the ornamental languages as well.
And there you're using sketching, which we all do it as the starting point, and you do need to have those skills. But luckily, both Rinck and Fromental then are open to using new technology to put these things together, because they are very useful, and I cannot emphasize enough at Fromental that we will never turn our back on any technology as long as it's useful in that moment, rather than replacing anything.
Things which we are considering as classics today, such as Art Deco style, they were invented because of new technologies, and so we can be classicists, but still innovating. And actually, one of my obsessions as a president of Rinck is to try to keep on evolving, but in the respect of our tradition, just one style after the other. After the 30s, the modernist movement was kind of like, okay, everything made before was like, we cut it from it. And my obsession is like, what if we would just have kept on evolving, all that time, without the break.
Yes.
And for me, it's that you can actually move on, and you can modernize, and you can do many things while respecting the tradition.
Absolutely, we're using this technology, but for me, Rinck and Fromental is the handmade as well, and the papers that we have created together are all handmade. These are not printed. These are painted by hand on hand-woven silk, which is hand-backed. Craftsman has painted every single panel, and I think that is what is so wonderful about it. All of these elements are slightly different. They are unified by the hand of your artist, unified by the hand of our artist, but there will be tiny little differences.
Yes.
Which really hammer home that this is a handmade product. And that is at the heart of both of our companies, I believe.
Totally. I totally agree on that, yeah.